Hi, this is Miss Camp, and today we are going to talk about the preposition. Using prepositions is very important when we are speaking and writing in English. Prepositions can be used to help us answer where something is or when it is. Here are two examples. The sun is in the sky. So we know that we have a subject at the beginning of the sentence. So this sentence is about the sun. The sun is a noun. It is a thing. We also have our verb is. So we have the sun is. But we want to know where is it? And we can answer that question using in the sky. In the sky is how many words? We have 1, 2, 3. But these 3 words work together as one group. When we have a group of words that work together to do one thing, we call that a phrase. So a phrase is a group of words that work together as a group. That means we're going to put a box around them and keep them together. So we call this a prepositional phrase, in the sky. Prepositional phrase. This one, in the sky, is answering the question, where? Where is the sun? Another example is the earth moves around the sun. In this sentence, the subject of our sentence is the earth. It is about the earth. That is a noun. It comes at the beginning of the sentence before the verb. The verb in this sentence is not is. It is moves. That is what the earth is doing. The earth moves. Where does the earth move? The earth moves around the sun. Our last example will be we see the moon. That's an object. It's a noun that comes after the verb. At night. Do you think at night is telling us where or when we see the moon? We is our subject. See is our verb. The moon is our object. And at night is our prepositional phrase. Let's take a look at just this one. We'll get rid of some of that. So we have, we see the moon at night. In the pink box is our prepositional phrase. It tells us when we see the moon. So a prepositional phrase is going to be a group of words. Here we have 2 words that answer the question where or when. In this group of words, the very first word is the preposition. We are going to be looking at a lot of prepositions today. You do not need to remember all of these, but I want you to practice reading them and seeing them so that when you see one, you can remember that it is a preposition. Prepositions can answer the question where or when. These are some prepositions that are answering the question where. Now, I do not know what kind of animal this is. I don't know if I should call him a bear or I have no idea. I'm just going to call him it. Okay, so let's take a quick look at where these are. Here, it, or the animal, or the pet, is behind the ball. Here it is beside the ball. Beside also means next to. That's a 2-word preposition. So this one is also next to. That animal is next to the ball or beside the ball. Here he is on the ball. He is under the ball. He is between 2 balls. When we use the word between, we need to have 2 things. Here he is in the box. He is in front of the ball. This is a 3-word preposition. He is near the ball. He is above the ball. Another one that means above is over. He is over the ball. The difference between over and above and on is if he is on the ball, he is touching it. If he is above or over the ball, then you can see some space in between him and the ball. And when we write these sentences, it is very easy. We just say who it is, and then we have our verb, and then we have our prepositional phrase that tells us where. So I could say he or it or that thing, he is on the ball. I make sure I have a period at the end, capital letter at the beginning. Now I want you to look inside this pink box. We have the preposition at the beginning, but I want you to notice what is at the end of that pink box. This last word right here of the pink box is always going to be a noun, a person, place, or thing. And we need to remember that if it is just one, and there's no S there, if it is just one, then we need to remember to use a little word right in front of it. It could be a, or an, or the, my, his. It needs to be a word that tells us which ball are we talking about, which one. We have also learned that if the noun comes before the verb, I'm not talking today about there is, there are sentences. That was a special kind of sentence. But if our sentence begins with the subject, okay, that's the normal kind of sentence, and the noun comes at the beginning before the verb, then all the other nouns in the sentence, like this one right here, are going to be an object. We actually call this ball the object of the preposition. Another type of preposition is when something's moving. Okay, so you can see in each one of these, and all of these, well, let's look at them one at a time. Okay, so here the mouse is moving into the box. So we use the preposition into, and this is the prepositional phrase. That's the group of words, and it ends with a noun. This box is a noun. It's a thing. The mouse can also move out of the box. Here is the prepositional phrase. Out of is a two-word preposition, and box is the object of the preposition. So this is a noun. It's just one, so we have the word the in front of it. Here the cat is moving. The cat is moving around the box, okay, in a circle. This is our prepositional phrase. Here is our preposition. Here is the noun at the end. It's just one, so we have the in front of it. Here the bird is flying away from the box. Here's our prepositional phrase. Away from is our two-word preposition. Box is the object of the preposition. It's a noun. Here's the box. Here, the birds are flying toward the box. They're over here, and they're coming this way. We use the word toward. The prepositional phrase is toward the box. The object of the preposition is box. That's a noun. It's just one, so we say the. Here the bird is flying past the box. Here comes the bird. It goes to the box and it keeps on going, goes right past it. Past is the preposition. The phrase or group of words is past the box. Box is the noun at the end. That's the object of the preposition. Here the frog is going to jump onto the box. So he's jumping onto the box. I think onto should be one word, onto. There's the preposition, there is the noun at the end, and all of the words together is the prepositional phrase. Remember, a phrase is a group of words that works together. This is telling us where the frog is jumping. Now the frog is on the box and he wants to jump off. So he's going to jump off the box. Here is the noun at the end. Here is the preposition at the beginning, and all the words together is the prepositional phrase. Here the frog is going to jump over the box. He's going to land over here. He's not going to touch the box. The phrase is over the box. Over is the preposition, and box is the noun at the end of the prepositional phrase. Here, oh my goodness, what is this? Is that supposed to be a worm or a snake? I think that's a snake. Here the snake is going under the wall. So this is the snake right here. Here's the wall. The snake goes under the wall. Here's our prepositional phrase, and here is the noun at the end. Here the snake is going through the pipe. Through is the preposition, pipe is the end, is the noun at the end. The whole phrase is through the pipe. So here he goes right through. We can't see him, and he comes out the other end. Here the snake is crossing or going across the bridge. So he goes across, he starts over here, and he keeps on moving and he gets over here. This thing right here is called a bridge. That's the noun at the end. All three words are the phrase, the prepositional phrase. Here the boy is going up the stairs. So the preposition is up. The noun at the end is stairs. These are the stairs. And the prepositional phrase is up the stairs. And here the girl is going down the stairs. So the preposition is down. The noun at the end are the stairs. And the whole thing is the prepositional phrase. So these are examples of when someone is moving. These are prepositions of movement. I'm saying that word, movement. That's when you're not standing still. You're here and you're going somewhere. Prepositions are also used to tell us about time. They answer the question, when is something happening? Before we've been talking about answering the question where, but these answer the question time. And some of the big ones that we use are in, on, and at. In, on, and at are tricky prepositions because we use them for both answering the question when and answering the question where. On this page, we are looking at answering the question when. So we might say, my birthday is in August. I would say my birthday is in August. Or we could say, my birthday is on August 10th. Or we could say, my class is at 2:30 p.m. These are ways that we can use the prepositions in, on, and at. We could, in one sentence, say, my party, that'll be my birthday party, is, let's see here, my party is in January on, let's see, on the last Saturday at 2:00 p.m. So you can see here that I have three prepositional phrases. I have in January, I have on the last Saturday, and I have at 2:00. All three of those are answering the question when, but one I use in, one I use on, and one I use at. I was going to talk today about how we can tell whether or not we should use in, on, or at, but I think that prepositions are going to take more than one lesson. So I will do that in tomorrow's lesson. But I want you to see that prepositions can be used to answer the question where or when. And in each of these pink boxes, you can see there is more than one word. In January, 2 words here. That's a phrase. On the last Saturday, that's 4 words. At 2:00, that is 2 words. Here are some prepositions that we use to begin a prepositional phrase. I'm going to read these I want you to start getting used to hearing them so that when you see one, when you are reading, you will say, oh, I've heard that before. That's a preposition. So let's look at some of them. In, on, around, over, under, through, down, at, of, below, in front of, behind, up, next to, for, with, about, to, above, near, by, during, from, out, across, off. So I want to show you these kids. This is a group of kids in, I don't know, kindergarten maybe? They are all in a line, but I'm only going to look at these three at the beginning, so you can see how they are in line. This girl at the beginning, she is the line leader. She's the leader of the line. She's number 1. And this girl at the end, I'm going to call her the caboose. She's coming last. She, in our prepositional phrase, the preposition is going to be the line leader. It will come first. The noun will be at the end of the phrase. That's the caboose. Here is a picture of a train, and I have circled here at the very end of the train. That is called the caboose. So I am using that word to be the last word in our phrase. That is a Miss Camp word. That's not a grammar word. Okay, we have seen this before. This is just to remind us that a noun can be a person, or a place, or a thing, or an idea. And in a prepositional phrase, there is always a noun. It is the last word in the phrase. So when you see a preposition, you need to start looking for the noun that is going to come after it. So here in my pink box, I can see this is going to be my prepositional phrase. All of the words in this pink box are going to be the prepositional phrase. The first word at the beginning will be the preposition, and the last word at the end will be a noun, and this is called the object of the preposition. We call it an object because it's a noun, and it is not the subject of the sentence. The noun that's inside a prepositional phrase can never be the subject of the sentence. So let's take a look at a sentence. We go on a camping trip. What is the subject of that sentence? Who is it about? Who is going on a camping trip? Okay, that is we. What is we doing? What is the verb? That is the word go. Now actually in a sentence, I have not talked about this yet, but go, it is true that go, oops, hang on a minute. Let's see here. I need to bring this to the front. Bear with me just a minute. Okay. All right, it is true that go is the verb, but a sentence only has two parts. The first part is, you know, my box is underneath the words. Okay. My first part is the subject. The other part is called the predicate. That's not a word I have used before, but our sentence has two parts, red and green. The first part, which is red, is the subject. that is who or what the sentence is about. And it comes before the verb unless it is a there is, there are sentence. The second part of the sentence is the predicate, and I use green for that. So this whole rest of the sentence is the predicate. So there's my two parts. We is who it's about, that's the subject, and the whole rest of the sentence is the predicate. The predicate has many different things in it. The first word of the predicate is the one that has to be there. That is the verb. The verb is the only part of the predicate that has to be there. If you do not have a verb, you do not have a sentence. And that is usually the first word of the predicate. But there could be other words in the predicate, especially prepositional phrases, that are answering more questions, like where and when, or what, like objects, right? So we might see in our predicate in here, we might end up finding some objects, or we might end up finding some prepositional phrases. And these will give us more information in our sentence. They will answer more questions. Now, in this sentence, we go on a camping trip. There is no object, but there is a prepositional phrase because we have the preposition on, and it ends with camping trip, which is a noun. It's a thing. So I'm going to bring this pink box over here. I wonder if I can. Here it comes. Okay, so there it is. So you can see my pink box is around my prepositional phrase, on a camping trip. We go where? On a camping trip. On is the preposition and camping trip is the object of the preposition. Let me bring this to the front. Okay, now we're going to look at another sentence. We go to the store. So here we have our subject, we. Now, the verb is go, but the whole rest of the sentence is the predicate. We go to the store. To the store is telling us where we go. So that is a prepositional phrase. It begins with the preposition to, and it ends with a noun, store. And because store is just one, we have the little word the. And those three words together is the prepositional phrase answering the question, where? Where do we go? So in this sentence, we have who is it about, what are they doing, go, and where are they going? To the store. So we have three questions answered. Who, do what, this is do what. So we have we, do what, where. We go to the store. We is the subject, go is the verb, and to the store is a prepositional phrase that begins with the preposition to and ends with the noun store. Store is the object of the preposition. It's the object of this preposition right here. All right, now we're going to go to our last sentence. All right, this one says, let's see here. Joe's birthday party is at 6:00 p.m. on Saturday. So let's see what we have. Who is this sentence about? It's about Joe's birthday party. That's the subject of the sentence. Now our verb is just the word is. That is the first word of the whole predicate, which is the whole rest of the sentence. Well, this sentence has two prepositions in it. Do you see it? There's one here and there's one here. So, when is Joe's birthday party? Well, it is at 6 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. So it answers the question when for a time and a day. So this sentence has a subject, Joe's birthday party, the verb is, and then there's two prepositional phrases, at 6 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. In each pink box is a group of words. A group of words that work together to do one thing is called a phrase. Because that phrase begins with a preposition, we call it a preposition, and then I'm going to add two letters, A-L, prepositional phrase. Okay, I want to talk about one kind of prepositional phrase that is a little tricky. This is the kind of prepositional phrase that comes in between the subject of the sentence and the verb in the sentence. So first of all, I want you to look at these two classes. So over here, I have a class. In the red desk is the teacher. Okay, so this right here is the teacher's desk. And then these are all, it says the students are busy. Okay, so these are all students. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 students. So we are talking about 6 students. Do you see the S here at the end of students? That's more than one, and so we use the verb are because it's more than one student. And we're looking at every single student in the class. And there's more than one. So we have an S at the end of students. But let's look at the same class. Here it is, over here. And we have our teacher. But here, we're not going to count the students in the class. We're going to say the class. We are turning these 6 students into one group. So we are not counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 students. We are putting them all in one circle, and we are calling them one group. And the word we use for that is class. So class here is talking about one group. That's why we use the word is, because class is just one. In this room is just one class, and so we use the word is. Over here on this side, we're looking at the 6 students, so we use the word are. But over here on this side, we're looking at just the fact that in that room is one class, and so we use the word is. So whether we use are or is depends on the word that comes before it, and if we are talking about just one or more than one. So in this sentence, we say, the boys in the class is or are busy. Well, this is a tricky sentence because usually we find the verb, okay, so it's either going to be this or this, and then we look at the noun that comes before it. But the noun that comes before it is class. But I want you to look at what comes before that. This is a preposition, in. And if we have a preposition, we need to keep looking for the noun that comes after it. Here it is. So class is the object of this preposition, and it goes into this box. So inside that pink box is a phrase. It is a prepositional phrase, and it ends with a noun, and we know that the noun at the end of a prepositional phrase is an object, and we know that that can never be the subject of a sentence. So what we really need to do is pretend it's not there. So I'm just going to cover up that whole prepositional phrase. That prepositional phrase is not going to help me answer the question of is or are. So I need to look for another noun that comes before is or are, and I found it. It is this one. It's the boys. And the boys has an S at the end of it, right there, which means more than one. And so we are going to make our verb are, because this verb are needs to go back to the subject. It needs to match the subject. So this is a tricky sentence right here because of this prepositional phrase. So if you are trying to decide if you need to use is or are, and you see a prepositional phrase in between the subject, okay, so here's the subject and here's the verb, but in between it is a prepositional phrase. Don't let the noun at the end of the prepositional phrase fool you. Okay, that is the object of the preposition. It's not the class that is busy, it is the boys who are in the class that are busy. Let's look over here at this one. In this room right here, in this room, we have a second grade class. This is a second grade class. And so it tells us in our sentence that the class of second graders is or are busy. How can we choose if it should be is or are? Well, if we look at the word that comes right before it, we're going to say, ooh, 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 look at that S. This should be are. But again, we have a preposition here, of. This is why it's important to memorize a list of prepositions so we can recognize it. If we find a preposition, we need to keep on going until we find a noun. Second is not a noun. Graders is a noun. That is a student who is in the second grade class. So that means this here, I'm going to say the second graders are the noun. Those are the people who are in the class. They are people, so they are a noun, and they are part of the prepositional phrase. I'm going to highlight the whole prepositional phrase. So this right here and this is the prepositional phrase. So the noun at the end of it is the object of the preposition, and that object cannot ever be the subject. So we need to just pretend that that's not here. Let's just cover that all up. And now we need to find the noun that is the subject of the sentence. And it's this, the class. Class is always just one group. So if it was more than one group, we would see the word class and then we would add to the end of it ES, classes. But this just says class, which is just one, so we are going to use the verb is. The class is busy. And now we can move this and read the whole sentence. Oops. Let me move that out of the way. The class of second graders, we don't want that. The class of second graders is busy. So that is one way where a prepositional phrase can be a little bit tricky if it is in between. Okay, so if we have our subject and then here's going to be our verb, and if in the middle we have a prepositional phrase, that can get a little bit tricky. We do know that the first word over here is going to be the verb, and we do know that the subject is going to be over here, And we do know that in the prepositional phrase, we're going to have a preposition, and then we're going to have an object of the preposition, which is a noun. But that noun is not the subject of the sentence. In this kind of sentence, this whole thing is the subject. That would be the complete subject. But the noun that we're going to match up to the verb is what we call this, is what we call, I don't know what we call it. I think we call it the simple subject. But this is the word that we need to find, this one right here. And then we match that to the verb. We want to remember that if this subject is just one, and it's not I and it's not you, we need to add an S to the end of the verb. But if it's more than one, then we don't want that S. So it is important for us to find that subject. In this sentence, the prepositional phrase here is telling us more information about the subject. It's telling us which subject are we talking about. Okay, I think this is going to be the last slide that we do. The boys in Mrs. Dingus's class are playing soccer. So here is our whole subject, but the simple subject, the one that we need to find here's our verb, okay, are. And that's because boys is more than one. So boys, the boys are playing soccer. You can see, sorry, it gets messy when I write on this. You can see that in Mrs. Dingus's class is a prepositional phrase. How do we know that? Well, we know that because we know that in is a preposition. And if we find in, then we're going to keep on looking until we get to a noun. And there's the noun, it's class. So class is going to be the object of the preposition. So it cannot be the class that's playing soccer because class is an object of the preposition in. So everything in here cannot be the subject of the sentence. So we can just kind of cover it up for a minute. We're going to just pretend it's not there for a minute. And then we say, who is playing soccer? Well, we're like, oh yeah, it's the boys who are playing soccer. And if we look at that, look carefully, at the end of boys, there is an S, which means more than one. So, we come over here to the verb, and we want to make sure that this is are, because it is boys that are playing. Boys has an S at the end, that's more than one, so we want to use are. The reason we have this prepositional phrase in the sentence is because we want to know which boys are we talking about. We're answering the question, which ones? Which boys? All the boys in the school? All the boys in Taiwan? Which boys are the ones that are playing soccer? And it's just the boys in Mrs. Dingus's class. And so in Mrs. Dingus's class is a group of words, a phrase, that is helping us know which boys are we talking about. But this prepositional phrase is going in between the subject of the sentence, which is here, and the verb of the sentence, which is over here. Sorry about that. All right, let's see what else we have here. All right, we've already done this a little bit. We need to remember that when we're using the word the class, that's just one. So we would say the class is eating lunch. That's one group. The students, but we remember that the students is when we're counting every single student in the class. And there's our S, which means more than one, so we're going to say are. The students are eating lunch. Oops, let's see here. Okay, now we're going to say the students in the class. Well, we're getting good at this. We can see in the class is a prepositional phrase because it begins with the preposition in, which means class at the end has to be, it is a noun, but it's going to be the object of the preposition in. And an object can never be the subject. So class, it is not the class eating lunch. In the class is just a prepositional phrase telling us which students, but it's the students who are eating lunch. You see that S at the end, so that means toot toot toot, we want to go with are. The students are eating lunch. Let's cover up the prepositional phrase and see if that makes sense. The students are eating lunch. That makes sense. More than one student. The students are eating lunch. Now we can read our whole sentence. The students in the class are eating lunch. That tells us which students. And for our last one, the class of students. Let's go like this. The class of students. So here we can say, oh, of is a preposition, which means we have to find the object. Toot, 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 toot. There's the noun. That's the object of the preposition, and these two words together are the prepositional phrase, so they cannot be the subject of the sentence. Toot, toot, toot. So let's look at the subject. We found it. It's over here. The class is always one group, so it's a singular subject. That means we want to pick is. It is not going to be are. So we can read it. The class is eating lunch. Now we can look at our prepositional phrase. The class of students, whoops, things kind of move around here. The class of students is eating lunch. And so again, there is our subject. The class is eating lunch. The class of students is eating lunch. All right, I'm going to give you a sneak peek at what we're going to look at tomorrow, but I think our class today went for kind of a long time, so I'm going to stop. But let me show you the slides that we're going to look at for tomorrow. We're going to look a little bit more at in, on, and at, and how they can be used to help us know that when something is happening or where something is happening. And we have a lot of slides to help us look at in, on, and at. And it might be helpful for you if I just send these pictures to you and then you can keep them. These are looking at examples of prepositional phrases we use that begin with in, that begin with on, that begin with at. But I am going to say that I do not agree with this one. I think that should be on. This is looking at some more examples for in, on, and at. The one thing I don't like about this slide is I want to switch these. We like to teach in, on, and at as in first, on second, at third. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And some more examples of in, on, and at. This is also in, on, at. And again, in, on, at. These are prepositions of place that we talked about at the beginning of the class today. So we have an example of, you can see an example sentence that is in front of, behind, next to, between, under, below, in, and on. And when you look at a sentence, you should now be able to say, oh, Here's the subject of the sentence. Here's the verb. Here's a preposition, which means this is the prepositional phrase, and you should be able to say, oh, I found the noun at the end, which is the object of the preposition. And this one, actually, we already looked at. So we are all finished. It was a long class today, and you did a great job. Happy writing. Bye.